All right, guys, I'm joined here with Nick Dill. Nick is, he's 19 years old. You can tell by those LED lights hanging out behind him. He's just sitting in his apartment, just chilling. I'm just busting Nick a little bit here. Nick's been helping me now for the last couple months. He helped us hang Christmas lights and take them down. So I've gotten to know Nick fairly well. And also this summer or last spring in 2020, he interacted, or he found me, connected with me through another guy at the church that we go to, and he said, "Hey, you mind if I come shadow you for a day?" And I was like, "Oh man, this kid's 18, 19 years old. Yeah, whatever." And then next thing I know, he starts his own power washing business in my backyard and did very well. And I'm excited about this because whenever we first talked, I said, "Well, what kind of goals you got, Nick?" And Nick, do you remember what your goal was?
Yeah, $1,000 or $2 this summer was what
Yeah, he
I was
said, "I want to
hoping
make
for.
1,000, maybe $2,000 this summer." And I was like, "Dude, you are not thinking big enough." And so once the summer was over in the fall, because you and another guy were doing it, you had to go back to college. So how much money did you end up making?
So we grossed right around $20,000, and I brought home I think around 10, and my buddy brought home around 5, I think. So I thought we
So
did
how
pretty good.
awesome is that? You had this idea as this high school kid, and you were part of a CEO class, right?
Yeah,
Kind of
the
explain that to it,
CEO.
because I still don't know what a CEO class is.
So it was Cumberland's first year. It started in Effingham originally about 10 years ago, and now it's a business class, basically entrepreneurship. And I wouldn't say it's all about business. I really thought I learned more about life than anything.
Oh,
And
awesome.
I'd recommend anyone's kids or anyone to get into that class. It really taught me a lot. But basically, just a business class. Now there's about 120 programs around the U.S. and started 10 years ago. So
Oh, that's cool. Now, did
it's
you
cool.
know how did you know you wanted to become an entrepreneur? Or have you always known that? I mean, give us a little background as well, because your dad's a dentist.
Yeah. So I think that has a huge role in it. I used to go to my dad's office after school all the time. And what I really think was the coolest part was he knew everyone in the community because he had a business uptown, and everyone was nice to me saying, "Oh, you're Dr. Dill's kid." And I don't know, I feel like my dad was a reputable guy and he was a nice guy and everything basically off of his business too. So that got me wanting to study business, and then
That's cool. So obviously, you're in college now, but you
yeah.
also have that entrepreneurial spirit where you understand you don't need to go to college. And we've had many of these discussions before, because I understand you want to drop out. I
Yeah.
went to college for 3 years, had no idea what I was doing or what I wanted to do, so I dropped out. Knock on wood, I've been very fortunate. Things have worked out. But like I told you, just get your degree. For worst case scenario, at least you have it. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm
But
thinking.
like, why do you think you're traveling down the opposite path of your dad? He went to school for 8 years, became a dentist, whereas you're like, I just want to start doing this stuff and not go to school.
Yeah. Well, I look at my dad, and uh, he went to school for 8 years, and that was rough. Like, dental school was really hard. And I feel like if I put the same amount of time and effort that he put into that school, I could reap way more benefits from just starting a business now instead of going to school for 8 years to
Oh, dude,
learn
I
it.
think you make some great points there, especially the world we live in now with so much opportunity. And we've had many of these discussions before. And, and I gave you that book when we first started working together called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And, and no, this is no disrespect to your dad, but, he went to school for 8 years, became a dentist, makes great money.
Yeah.
But he's also that go to work, get a paycheck, and you don't get me wrong, makes a great income. He's a dentist, for God's sakes. However, I'm on the other foot. I'm like, drop out of college, run your own business. Don't worry about a paycheck to paycheck. Make your own way, pave your own way. And I'm not saying that I'm your rich dad or your poor dad over here, but I'm just saying, like, you're seeing both sides of it. And I guess I could be your dad. I'm like 18 years older than you. Jeez.
There you go. Oh,
Oh,
man.
are you 19 or 20?
I'm 19 right now.
Yeah, 18 years older than you. Oh, gee whiz. But so yeah, I feel like you're kind of getting both sides of this. This is awesome for you because you're seeing now what you want out of life, and you can see, both sides of the spectrum here.
I think there's a big generational thing because my dad's like 55, 57. So, like, hearing from someone in between our ages really changes, I think, a lot because the world has changed a lot from when
It's
my dad.
changed so much. And, when I was going to school, and I don't know if they did so much for you, but when I was going to school, it was go to school, make good grades, go to college, make good grades, get a college education, get a job, and then work 40 years of your life for somebody else. And then once you turn 60 or 65, you can retire and say the average age to pass away is like 80. You get 15 years to yourself. And I'm like, dude, for me, that just never, ever registered. I'm like, hell no. I remember, I'll share this story. Whenever I was in youth group at our local church, it always took place on Sundays at 4:30. I remember this so vividly. And I would start getting a little bit of depression would set in because I'm like, shoot, I got to go here from 4:30 to 6. And then when I get home, I got to get ready for bed. And then from Monday through Friday, and this was in junior high, from Monday through Friday, I got to go to school and class, somebody telling me what to do. And then I get 2 days off for myself. I'm like, this doesn't sound fun. And I started thinking like, that's going to happen in high school. That's going to happen in college. Then my real life, like I can see in the future, this is not what I want to live. I feel like you're kind of seeing that as well.
Mm-hmm. I think because at such a young age, I think I also have like a choice. If I like make the right choices, then maybe, it won't happen overnight, but in 20 years, maybe I won't have to work like a full-time 9 to 5 job. And
and you're learning so much stuff like about passive income. You're asking me all these questions. I'm like, the other guy that helps, I'm like, this guy, if he keeps on making the right choices, like the trajectory for your life is, and I don't want to say it's all about money because it's not, but also what's money give you? It gives you choices, freedom. It gives you choices to do the things that you want to do. And that's, for me personally, like time freedom was my number one goal, and so the money has always been nice, but it's never my number one goal. Now that I have kids and doing these things, shoot, you came home the other day and I was sitting in a hot tub with my family. I'm like, this is my choice here. And I told my wife, I said, I bet Nick leaves here thinking, I want that. Like, I want to be able to do those things. But the cool thing is you're going to be able to do them 10 years earlier than me.
That's what I'm hoping, but who knows? I think money isn't ever the end goal. I think a big reason I always thought was I've never want to get divorced. That's probably like my biggest fear. And I saw like 50% of all divorces was because there wasn't enough money in the household. And that's always affected me.
Dude, that's so interesting, man. Good for you. Good for you at 19 years of age to, dude, that's so cool. Like, I never knew that about you.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just opening up, I guess.
Yeah, no, and that's awesome because, you're 19 years old. Who knows when you're going to get married? But that time, you're going to have a shit ton of cash in the bank, That's cool. So, like, as you see yourself in the future, like, what are some of you don't have to give us all the business ideas, but like, are you focusing on one business? You want multiple businesses? You want, I think we've talked about multiple streams of income before. Like, and talking to you, you've got some good ideas.
Yeah. I don't really want, I've seen where, like, especially during this year, I think like this year with COVID and everything, like, that really changed the way I thought just because a lot of people just didn't have any money anymore. Like, their entire one source of income was just gone. And like that creates a lot of stress, lots of pressure, everything. So I want to have like multiple streams of income, like stocks, real estate, a business I have, maybe an online business. So like 4 or 5 streams of income that I can see regularly coming in. So
awesome.
That's my goal in the
end.
And
it's cool too that you're able to look at those things. Like you said, COVID, it's bankrupted a lot of people. It's hurt a lot of people that only had one stream of income. And I think that too. So I sat down and counted last night. So we have 6 different streams of income, and I'd like to add 3 more this year into our streams of income. Because like you said, if something goes bad over here, I want to have other stuff coming in. And money, you hit the nail on the head. Money is not the end game. But I tell you what, when you have a little bit of it, it sure as hell helps a lot. You don't have to have as many. There's always stuff that comes up. There's always problems. But if my engine of my car goes out, I don't have to worry about spending money to get that fixed. You know what I mean? And whenever you have money in the bank, it gives you that little sense of security. And, for you to be thinking about marriage on that, and you've got some great examples with your mom and dad. How long have they been married?
I think 35 years.
That's a long time.
Wow,
so you've got a great base that you see how a marriage should look, A lot of these kids these days don't have that. And we've talked about that before. How many kids in your class are divorced or,
I'd say 4 out of my 5 best friends' parents are divorced or never got married.
Yeah.
And And that's never been affected me, but like I've talked to my friends about it and it's affected some of them.
For sure. You know, I was 21 when my parents got divorced, so I was an adult, but it still affected me at that age. And I didn't think it did until probably a few years ago, looking back on some of the stuff in my life, and I was like, damn, they're live, they're getting divorced. When I was 21, I was a male adult. It still did affect my life, but you know, I still can't use that as an excuse for the choices I was making. And you talk about some good things here. I'm going to share a story about Nick Dill making a poor choice.
Oh yeah.
So Nick was, like I said, he's been helping me. And there was one day where we get to work, we show up at the job site, which is where we're leaving from my house. And there's two other guys here. I'm like, we haven't heard from Nick. I'm like,
Oh
well,
man.
it's like 15, 20 minutes late. And then next thing you know, like it was 10 o'clock before we heard from this kid. And I'm like, what's up? Thought you might be dead. But I guess the other guy was talking. You guys were messaging each other.
Mm-hmm.
But and I think that was maybe a little bit of an eye-opening experience for you, because I said, dude, you didn't let me down, but you let all of us down, because we were expecting, and I'm not trying to bust your balls now. I'm just using you as an excuse because we've talked about it, moved on from it. But, you know, and this is the same way in life. If you're running a business, if you have other people, whenever you give somebody your word, and I've been focusing on this a lot lately. If I give you my word and I say, hey, I'm going to show up here at 3 o'clock and I'm there at 3:03, I'm kind of disappointed in myself. So I'm like, dude, sorry, I was 3 minutes late. But you're realizing, you're understanding now at a young age, like accountability is a big thing, especially if you want people to trust you and be able to count on you.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it's huge. I mean, like relationships, and if you give someone your word, like that's probably the biggest thing. Like giving someone your word, you say you're going to do something, do it. That was the biggest thing in CEO. That was the number one rule in CEO, actually.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Give someone your word, you got to perform on it.
That's cool. So another question. So say you could go back a year to school. What's a curriculum you think they should be teaching kids in school these days?
Definitely about money, but also just things in life. Because, I mean, I haven't used anything from high school in life, but if they taught you how to, and I know that giving homework and stuff is teaching you how to schedule your time, but if there was a class that literally just taught how to schedule your time,
Ooh,
like
I think that's a good one. How to schedule your time. That makes a lot of sense. Because, I mean, what's the one resource that we all have and we can't get enough of? Time.
Exactly.
You know, we all have 24 hours a day. How are you going to manipulate your day to get the most and be the most productive you can?
Yeah.
So also, I want you to share a story of what you just posted in StructureYou the other day about your how many hours had you listened to music in a year?
I listened to, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember the hours, but I converted it over to days, and it was 50 days worth of music. So
50 days worth of music in one day or in 1 year.
in 1 year, yeah.
Dude, that's incredible.
Yeah. So
that's incredible.
if I change that over to audiobooks, like imagine how much I could have learned in a year if I just changed over like half of that, not even all of it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna grab a calculator here because they say like the average audiobook is maybe we'll say 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And you listen to 50 days worth of music?
50 days worth of music, yeah.
Heck, 24 hours in a day. So
and that's more than any of my friends listen to. Like I definitely had the most music.
Okay, so that's almost 343 books if they're 3.5 hour long books. Like that's insane. They say like the average CEO reads 60 books a year.
Yeah. So if
you're like
half that, jeez.
You're like the next Tim Bezos if you just convert those into books.
That'd be awesome.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Bezos.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And so I think at a young age, you're at 19 years old, you're realizing that. When I first got into personal development, somebody had brought home the book Rich Dad Poor Dad and said, Mike, you need to read this. And that along with How to Win Friends and Influence People. And so instantly, like at your age, I was hooked on it. However, I got so caught up in the college lifestyle, insecurities in my own life, and then my parents getting divorced. Like I then went on a trajectory for a long time. But I made poor choices up until 2 years ago. And I think what I was always studying and learning about personal development, I just wasn't living it. I was reading the books, not putting them into action. So once I did that, then now my life's like skyrocketed. So dude, if you continue to make good choices, we're human though. We're never going to make all the right choices. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited for your future and your success. I think that you're just gonna destroy it.
Thank you.
And so you're 19. I want to do this again in like a year and see where you're at.
See where I'm at. Yeah,
It'll be exciting.
that will be exciting. I'm excited.
So, so if you got, you actually haven't been much of a reader, but if you got one book to look back on and recommend to people, what do you recommend?
Definitely How to Win Friends and Influence People. But the one I'm reading now, I think it challenges the normal self-help books and really like makes you more self-aware. Because
What
like
book
we
was
can
that?
all say that we're because it was either you have times where you think you're the best in the world, and you have times where you think the world's on top of you. And it's
Yeah.
like you have to be in the middle. Like you can't, and that's what that book challenged. Because there's definitely been times where I think I'm at the top of the world, and there's times I think the world's on top of me. So,
What's that book called?
the subtle art of not giving a
Okay. Yep.
finish that up. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, I've read that book before. That's a good book. And you know, you make a very good point there in entrepreneurship. There's a book called The Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster,
yeah,
and how you have so many ups and downs. But if you can just stay the course of that on the almost neutral level as far as your emotions go, like it's a lot better off for you. Because
and
I ride those waves. Even now, I just get so caught up in stuff.
yeah,
Um, so currently in your life, you could own or operate any kind of business. What would it be?
if I could own or operate any kind of
Any
business,
kind of business, and don't say power washing.
definitely an online business because you could travel. You wouldn't have to stay anywhere, and also it's a lot of passive income once you get everything set up and
So
you
when
have
you say online business, what do you mean? There's thousands of online businesses. Anything in particular?
like a store, like
Okay.
it's I've been looking into drop shipping where you like create a product, you market it and stuff, but that's kind of going to the wayside. But also the subscription based business online, like if you
Yes.
set up a good business model and have a subscription based thing that people need, I think
Like
that
that
would,
Dollar Shave Club.
yeah.
Those guys got rich in a heartbeat.
Uh-huh. There's tons of those companies, and they keep on popping up every day.
Dude, there really are. And
Mhm.
so many. Let me Google this really fast. Hold on just a second. Average, I'm gonna see what it is on books because that's
Yeah.
an insane amount of books. Average time of and what is this? What is it called? Oh, also, if let me see, I had it right here. Oh
Mhm.
man, it's the average length of an audiobook is 10 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
The one I was listening to was 5 hours.
Was it 5
Uh,
hours?
the subtle art. Hmm.
Yeah. So still it's 1,200. It's still 120 books.
A lot of books. That's a
Yeah.
lot of knowledge.
So, and okay, so currently at 19 years old, do you have any structures, habits, routines set in your life? You know, I have to ask that because you're part of Structure You. You're giving
Yeah.
some good knowledge. What kind of structure you have in your life?
So I have a morning routine that I usually follow, but it's hard to, especially on the weekends if I wake up late.
What's your morning routine look like?
I usually, right whenever I get out of bed, I chug a glass of water and I feel way better after that. And then cold showers,
You do
because
the cold shower. How often do you do cold showers?
every morning before work,
Okay.
I see like I started seeing because I never took a cold shower until you said it, and I started doing it. I could see the benefits of like my skin not being as dry, because like my skin gets super dry,
Does
and
it?
I started to notice that that really helped. And
That's
then
awesome.
I also stretch in the morning just to get ready for the day, and breakfast, and usually read a devotional or read a few pages out of the Bible.
Nice. And you know, you make such a simple concept there seem it's so easy, but
Yeah,
it's also I should say it's so simple and easy, but it's also easy not to do. You know, how easy is it? Like, dude, it's cold out today. I'm not hopping in that cold shower.
yeah,
But, you know, when we do those hard things first thing in the morning, I feel like it just gives us that mental edge to tackle the day and just do anything and be anything we want to be. So kudos to you at 19 years old for doing those things, man. Keep it up.
yeah.
Keep it up. All right. So you've spent some time with us today, and I appreciate it. There's going to be some guys that are, one last question. How did you, or, because you're going to do a lot of things. What is what's keeping you from being fearful to start these businesses or just go out on your own to do something? Like, Because I feel like there's probably a lot of guys in this group that are well older than you, but they're scared to take that first step. And you're going to get a lot of excuses. Well, Nick's young. He doesn't have a family. He doesn't have a girlfriend, which I don't know if you have a girlfriend. You got plenty of girlfriends, I guess. But, but even now at my age, I'm 37. I'm also kind of a risk taker. I'm like, yeah, let's go do this. What do you think keeps you from being fearful to do those things?
I think it's because life's a journey. I mean, the only way to win is to fail. I look up to Elon Musk a lot because I think his company is amazing, but he even said he thought Tesla was going to fail. But if you believe in something enough, then failure shouldn't scare you. And I
Good for you.
believe in myself enough, and maybe I shouldn't, but I mean, I believe in myself enough to hopefully go out there and get stuff done. And it's just, I don't know. I like business because I think it's the world's greatest sport. Like biggest.
And too, I think that you make some great points there. And also, I think too, because of the way you were raised, and I know you well enough. I know that it's not like you have a daddy that's giving you tons of money to do these things. Like you're supporting yourself. You're doing this on your own, which is just incredible. But also, like you said, we can't win unless we fail. Who we were talking about this the other day, was it Michael Jordan that said you miss 100% of the shots you never take. Any Michael Jordan fans heard that one before.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's the greatest sport ever. When I look to hire guys for this business, I want guys that have been in sports and athletics because they got a little bit of that competitiveness in them.
Yeah.
And I think that like you said, being raised the way you were raised, you're not scared of failure. You've got a great core family that you see what success looks like, and you can emulate that and move forward. So, dude, good for you. I'm glad that we got to know each other, and I'm glad that we're talking fairly regularly now.
That's awesome.
So awesome, Nick. Well, hey, I appreciate it. And so Nick is in StructureYou. If you guys have any questions for this 19-year-old, I know he's more than happy to help, and he's just a good dude. So, all right, thanks, Nick.
Thank you.